Yesterday, the Republican leader of the Senate came to the floor to give a speech relative to the issue of crime in America. And he was fairly specific as he outlined examples of violent crime that were taking place across the nation. He, of course, included in his litany the city of Chicago, talking about the car thefts that were occurring in that city and other felonious assault in New York City and the like. He concluded his remarks, the Republican Senate leader did, by saying, quote, "American families deserve to feel safe in their homes and in their neighborhoods, and certainly in the nation's capital. It shouldn't take another assault or carjacking or homicide to convince left-wing local leaders to start actually doing their jobs." Mr. President, I come to the floor to discuss doing your job and reducing crime in America. I come here once again to discuss the Senate's need to quickly confirm two pending U.S. Attorney nominees, Rebecca Lutzko in the Northern District of Ohio and April Perry to the Northern District of Illinois. I have come to the floor 3 times in the past 2 weeks to request unanimous consent for the Senate to take up and confirm these pending U.S. Attorney nominees who are being stopped by one junior senator from Ohio. Keep in mind that both of these nominees for the state of Ohio and for the state of Illinois have gone through extensive vetting and extensive efforts to determine whether or not they are prepared and qualified for the job. And it's a big job. They would be the leading U.S. criminal prosecutors in their area and have responsibilities that we know are substantial. Each time I've come to the floor to ask them, give the opportunity to these two young people to lead these U.S. Attorney's office, Senator Vance of Ohio has come up with a different explanation for why he's blocking their confirmation. It appears that he is not certain in his own mind as to the issue on a daily basis. As I stated last week, almost 50 years ago, since 50 years, the Senate has confirmed U.S. Attorney nominees for both political parties by either a voice vote or unanimous consent after they've been reported by the Judiciary Committee. Just look back to the previous Trump administration. In the 115th and 116th Congress, 85 of President Trump's U.S. Attorney nominees moved through the Judiciary Committee, and Senate Democrats allowed all 85, every single one of them, to be confirmed by a voice vote, by unanimous consent. Why? Why would we automatically give to a President of the United States their U.S. attorneys, their representatives of the Department of Justice in the nation? Because we understand the critical role that U.S. attorneys play in our justice system. Just take a look at the law, Title 28 of the U.S. Code, Section 547. It states, and I quote, "Each U.S. attorney within his district shall prosecute for all offenses against the United States of America," end of quote. Leader McConnell regularly comes to the floor to assert that Republicans are really tougher on crime than Democrats. The obstacles that Senate Republicans have created to confirming federal prosecutors, and especially Senator Vance's actions over the last 2 weeks, shows what an empty argument that is. Senate Republicans are literally moving the goalpost in the Senate, blocking the confirmation of law enforcement officers who lead our nation's efforts to prosecute violent crime and protect our communities from drug traffickers, gun violence, terrorism, and so many other crimes. Is it important in the state of Ohio, where the junior senator hails from, as it is important in Illinois to deal with fentanyl deaths? It most certainly is. We understand that thousands of Americans are dying each year because of this deadly narcotic. Who is fighting them? Leading the fight is our federal government and Department of Justice. We're dealing with an international drug cartel hailing out of Mexico. We're dealing with an effort to take over drug and narcotics control of the United States, Europe, and beyond. Certainly, we need more than local law enforcement to deal with it. So who do we put on the case? The Department of Justice. Why is that important? It's important because we need to have the men and women serving in that Department of Justice who are doing this job every single day. Earlier this year, The senator from Ohio explained why he is doing this, why he is stopping the appointment of well-qualified and vetted criminal prosecutors in the Department of Justice. Here is what he said. I will hold all Department of Justice nominations. We will grind the Justice Department to a halt. Grind the Justice Department to a halt. Really? Is that what you want to leave as your legacy in the United States Senate? That somehow you managed to diminish the Department of Justice's effort to keep America safe, to keep neighborhoods safe, to stop the spread of narcotics? Is that something you'd brag about back home? I don't think so. The average American hopes and prays that someone in Washington is working late at night, lights on, trying to make sure that there's less crime in America. They trust us to do our job, and one of them is to make sure that Department of Justice has the men and women they need to be led properly and to be effective. The junior senator from Ohio campaigned for this job in Congress, in the United States Senate, as the fact that he was tough on crime. He said, quote, Americans deserve safety. They don't get it if politicians keep attacking police officers instead of violent criminals. I would think that he would recognize that U.S. attorneys are too important to be used as political footballs, to make some headline or make some tweet or whatever it happens to be. I would think he would recognize that he is blocking highly qualified nominees who have significant experience as federal prosecutors and who have the qualifications and leadership abilities to serve with distinction. According to the senator from Ohio, the junior senator, the Justice Department has been, quote, weaponized, a favorite word of the right, simply because former President Trump has been indicted for multiple felonies. So this is retribution. In order to punish the Department of Justice for any part of it, prosecuting or indicting the former president, the senator from Ohio wants to stop prosecutors, criminal prosecutors, from going to work in Chicago and Cleveland. What is he going to do about the pending case in New York? There's got to be a way for him to stop Department of Justice, work by the state of New York, work by their attorney general. The former president is being at least sued. I'm not going to use the term prosecuted, but sued in court for his business dealings in New York. And he has a case pending in Georgia. What is a junior senator from in Ohio going to do to punish Georgia for having the temerity of indicting the former president as well? There is simply no basis in reason, fact, or law for what he is doing. The Justice Department under the Biden administration has made a point of demonstrating its independence, focusing on investigating and prosecuting criminal activity, regardless of an individual's political affiliation. Attorney General Merrick Garland has even appointed special counsels to handle the investigations of the current president and the former president to ensure their independence. Last week, Senator Vance came to the Senate floor and stated, and I quote, my objection is not specific to the qualifications of the particular individuals that have been nominated. He explicitly said this in reference to both these nominees. So he's not questioning whether they're qualified for the job. He's just angry because the former president has been indicted by the Department of Justice. In response, I offered the junior senator from Ohio the opportunity to end his obstruction and to keep his promise to support law enforcement by allowing us to schedule confirmation votes on the 4 pending U.S. attorneys, exactly what he said in the congressional record he wanted. He agreed to it. He released his objection to all 4 nominees on the condition that we'd hold roll call votes on them. He did this publicly in the congressional record and privately. He said that while he couldn't speak for his colleagues in the Senate who may object to some of the 4, he no longer would object. And last week we held votes on 2 of those U.S. attorney nominees. But then Senator Vance changed his mind again. Overnight, he decided he actually does object, even holding a confirmation vote on the 2 nominees, Rebecca Letzko to be the U.S. attorney in Cleveland, Ohio, and April Perry to be the U.S. attorney in Chicago, Illinois. Over the last few weeks, Senator Vance has offered explanation after explanation of why he's doing exactly what he promised not to do when he ran for office. He promised he would, quote, fight the criminals, not the cops. He's introduced a resolution in the Senate that calls on, quote, all levels of government to ensure that law enforcement officers receive the support and resources they need to keep all communities in the United States safe. Now he has the chance to support law enforcement. Instead, he comes to the Senate floor 3 times to undermine the U.S. Attorney's Office, even one in his own state that he represents here in the Senate. These are officers responsible for prosecuting drug cartels, sex traffickers, and other violent criminals. Senator Vance himself has said that Americans will not be safe if politicians keep attacking our law enforcement officers. I fear he is proving that is right. And so, Mr. President, I ask unanimous consent the Senate proceed to the consideration of the following nominations en bloc, calendar number 314 and 315, that the Senate vote on the nominations en bloc without intervening action or debate, that if confirmed, the motions to reconsider be considered made and laid upon the table, and the President be immediately notified of the Senate's action.